My name is Aniqah Zowmi. I am the official delegate from Canada, and I am currently in my Master's of Social Justice and Equity Studies at Brock University, but a lot of my work outside of school is focused on youth engagement through the venues of social enterprise and peace building and community development. I think that youth are such a key component of not only our future, but also our present. We have young people who are doing incredible work around the world in their own communities with very limited resources. And one of the criticisms that I personally have with youth engagement is that it's so undervalued and underpaid. And yet young people are creating such phenomenal impact with very little pay, often unpaid, few resources, and they're incredibly efficient at what they do. And having platforms like the Y20, which offers further resources to continue to replicate and create further impact, is so crucial to ensuring that that work that young people are doing at home translates to high-level policies, and that we have young people's voices represented at every level of government, civic organization, and community work. So I think that what's really impressive to me, and I'm not that much older than a lot of the young people who are in the midst of all the Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, but I think it's amazing how innovative young people are with the technology that they use. So I see young people using Snapchat as a platform to source ideas from the global community and access communities that they may not necessarily be able to access physically. And I think it's interesting when we think about groups like refugee camps, which a lot of people assume are technologically marginalized, but who actually have almost every refugee within a lot of the largest refugee camps have a phone or a smartphone or access to technology. And just the way that people are capitalizing on those opportunities and those options to create positive change is great. I also think that one of the biggest things that we need to be aware of I'm from Canada, I'm from a very privileged first world, quote unquote, developed country. One of the things I need to be aware of is understanding that my lived reality is very different from everybody else's. So what's worked for me in my life and what's defined as success in my life may not necessarily be the reality for somebody who's grown up in Sri Lanka in a lower income community, which would have been my reality had I not been born and raised in Canada. So being aware of kind of your social location and what type of opportunities you've had that may not necessarily translate to the lived experiences of others is such a crucial part of making sure that the innovations that you create are actually effective and relatable. So I don't think that young people need to be empowered. I think they are already empowered. I think what needs to happen now is translating that grassroots level work and that empowerment into long-term action, which is why I think that things like the Y20 or the Commonwealth Youth Forum are so crucial, is because they take the young people who are already empowered and already engaged and involved and use it to create impact at the highest levels, which then sets a culture that then filters down and allows for more opportunities for young people to get involved. So once again, I don't think that young people need to be empowered. I think they need to be given venues to translate that empowerment to action. I think one of the issues, as I mentioned before, is that young people are undervalued. So we see I work kind of in the development field, and I see that a lot of the entry-level positions for young people to even get their foot in the door involves taking on unpaid internships in foreign countries, which is a huge financial burden that then blocks their way into the labor force. So for people who don't have disposable income, people who don't have necessarily the support from either the community or their own family to take on that financial burden, the labor force in that field is effectively blocked. And then we lose the perspectives of those voices that have different experiences than the individual who may be privileged and have money and have family connections. So I think one of the big things that need to be considered when we're looking at the future of youth engagement within the labor force is ensuring that young people are empowered, but also understanding that the economic reality now does not involve one career for the rest of someone's life. So young people are shifting careers every 2 to 3 years, and I've done that in my own work, where I've shifted from education to social enterprise to peace building and to refugee work, and that's such a core component of every young person's career work that I've spoken to. I think it's important to acknowledge that and develop young people with the skills that can be transferred into multiple fields. So it's not just let us prepare them to become an accountant, but let us prepare them to become financially capable and financially savvy so that they can use that whether they choose to go into the financial world, whether they choose to go into development world, etc.